15th century Europe, a chessboard of kingdoms, alliances, and dynasties. England and France stood at the edge of a conflict that would span over a century. Blood would be shed in the name of power, lineage, and pride, and history would never be the same. The spark of the 100 Years' War came from a claim to the French throne. Edward III of England, through his mother Isabella, daughter of a French king, asserted his right to rule. But the French rejected any claim through a woman. Salic law would deny him, and so the seeds of war were sown. The claim turned into action. In 1337, England and France officially entered war. What followed was nearly a century of conflict. Castles under siege, cities burned, and knights clashing in muddy fields. Europe entered a dark new age. Years later, a young king rose to power in England, Henry V. Just 26 years old, yet bold and strategic. He revived England's claim to the French throne, this time not with words, but with swords. In the summer of 1415, Henry launched his army towards France. Ships loaded with archers, knights, and horses braved the channel. Through wind and waves, a campaign had begun, one that would make history. They struck at Harfleur, a key port city. The siege dragged on. Trebuchets hammered the walls. Ladders rose against stone. The English took the city, but not without a cost. Disease and exhaustion spread through the ranks. Victory was theirs, but their strength was not. Dysentery swept through the camp. Dozens died, hundreds weakened. Before meeting the enemy in battle, the English were already bleeding. Henry turned north towards Calais, deep into French territory. The road was muddy, the soldiers ill, but he would not retreat. The French outnumbered him, but pride demanded the march continue. As word spread, the French mobilized. Thousands of knights, dukes, and men-at-arms assembled under royal banners. Proud, well-armed, and confident, they expected a swift and glorious victory. The field near Agincourt was narrow, flanked by dense forest. The ground was wet, churned by rain. French cavalry would find no room to maneuver. Henry had chosen well. The terrain itself would fight for him. The English built a wall of sharp stakes, driven into the mud by longbowmen. Behind them stood archers, calm and ready. Mud, discipline, and wood. This would not be a battle of knights alone. October 25th, 1415. Mist hovered over the field. Both armies stood in silence. Prayers were whispered. Bows were strung. One side fought for survival, the other for vengeance. Then came thunder. The French cavalry charged. Heavy armored riders surged forward through the mud, but the narrow space betrayed them. They collided, stumbled, and crashed into each other. Henry's plan had begun to unfold. The longbowmen let loose. Thousands of arrows filled the sky. Shields raised in panic, knights struck down mid-charge. The air was black with shafts. Horses screamed. Chaos deepened. The French ranks broke apart. Horses fell. Men drowned in mud. Reinforcements crushed the wounded. Armor became a coffin. The lines were gone. Only panic remained. Some French reached the English lines, but there they met steel and grit. Swords clashed, spears shattered, blood mixed with soil. This wasn't battle. It was hand-to-hand, desperate and brutal. The field dissolved into madness. French soldiers fled in all directions. Some ran for the forest, others were cut down where they stood. Wounded knights begged for mercy. The pride of France was undone in the mud. And in the fog, Henry V emerged, scarred, dirty, but unbroken. He stood before his men, raised his sword, and became a legend. That moment was more than a victory. It was a symbol. The battlefield grew quiet. Defeated French lords approached Henry, bruised and bloodied. They knelt, offered their swords and banners. It was not just surrender, it was the end of an age. In 1420, the Treaty of Troyes made Henry V the heir to the French crown. The victory of Agincourt had turned into a diplomatic triumph. England now ruled parts of France, but peace would not last forever. Agincourt shattered the Age of Knights. The longbow replaced the lance. French nobility was decimated. England gained ground, militarily and politically. Europe had entered a new era. Agincourt was not just a battle. It was where a century turned, where strategy defeated tradition, where Henry V carved his name into history. And even now, historians still speak of that muddy field, because some battles changed the world forever. On the muddy fields of Agincourt, an age came to an end. This was more than history. It was legacy. Even today, the whisper of arrows from that foggy morning echoes through time, because some battles are never forgotten.